Welcome back to Kaylee Daily. Today's question is, what are common misconceptions about placenta ingestion? So we're talking all things placenta encapsulation. We'll be joined by the awesome Jade Hillery, so stay tuned for more.
This is Kaylee Daily, the bi-weekly podcast about all things doula tips and tits, where we answer one question about pregnancy, labor, postpartum, or lactation in order to have your journey in this parenting world be just a little bit more informed and filled with consent.
Hello and welcome back to Kaylee Daily. We are joined today by my dear friend Jade Hillery. She is wonderful and a connoisseur of all sorts of birthy things, but we're talking specifically about placentas today. Jade, I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell us more about your background and how you got into this work.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I am Jade Hillery. My pronouns are she, hers, Aya. I'm a full spectrum doula. I'm a placenta encapsulator. I'm a childbirth educator. The list goes on and on. I'm also a facilitator.
You're more things than that.
Yeah. I'm a facilitator and I'm a sensual movement instructor, coach, and love all things birth and sensual movement education. That's the gist of it. But yeah.
It's not the full list. You have other things. Yeah, I remember one of the first times I met you, you were like talking to a group of expectant parents and you were saying what you like, how you doula. And you said something like, I help you be the badass that you can be. And yes. I was like, yes. I was like, that is a good doula introduction.
Yes. I forgot about that. Yeah. I mean, my thing is, like you just said, like you reminded me of, I really am there to remind you of the badass person that you are. I'm helping you tap into the power that you already have, the resources that you already have. That's what I really like try to lean into. But yeah.
I thought it was just a perfect like summary of what you do. You know, I was like, yes, now have that on a shirt.
Now it's evolved, and now I do have this on a shirt. But like,
oh, do you?
Well, not that specific one, but I made up another shirt, and I think it's like I'm the mirror, I'm the plug, I'm the auntie. And like just leaning into that. I'm an auntie, you know, when it comes to birth. I'm the one that gives you the special treats. I have like a lot of knowledge about a specific subject. I'm helping you tap into community, but like thinking of all the different ways that I show up as a doula in this work and trying to, you know, connect the dots to the typical language that or the typical language or slang that the kids are using these days. So, you know, leaning into my auntiness when it comes to being a doula. And I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So today we're talking about placentas. Part of why I brought Jade on is placenta encapsulation is something that freaks me out. Not on a professional level, but something about handling organs freaks me out. I don't know why. It's so funny that way that like I can see all the babies be born, no problem. I've sat through C-sections, no problem. Placentas, like cutting it and dehydrating it, no thank you. That makes me feel like I'll pass out. So Jade is one of the many lovely people that I refer to for these services if a client wants them. So Jade, I would love to hear your answer to our question today, which is what are common misconceptions about placenta ingestion?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm sure that even though we're talking today, I probably won't touch on all of them.
There are so many.
There are so many. I think the biggest one is that it doesn't help people. Like, you know,
it's all just anecdotal.
It's all just anecdotal, which like, so I am a public health practitioner by trade. That's the other one of the other hats that I wear. And I always like to remind people that anecdotal evidence, quote unquote, anecdotal evidence or like lived experiences and stories, that is evidence. That is evidence, and it's to be taken seriously. And we want to make sure that we're, you know, capturing those accounts as well. But in thinking about the fact that folks are unsure of or just flat out, you know, against the pros that they're hearing about, you know, some of the things that I talk to potential clients about are benefits like it can support lactation. Of course, you know, every person's experience is going to be different, but it can support lactation. It can boost energy levels. It can boost mood. Some folks do see a little bit of a bump in, things like hemoglobin or iron levels. And so I think, I think if nothing else, just by all of the different accounts that my clients have shared with me and other things that I've seen and read and learned from other encapsulators, this is something that really can be a benefit to a lot of people. Like I said, everyone's body reacts a little bit differently, but there's usually some type of benefit that people are getting. So the biggest misconception is that, people are just doing it because it's the thing to do and it doesn't actually work, but it does. It has helped a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask you a follow-up question to that?
Yes.
So as you're saying that, I'm thinking, okay, so maybe we should actually take a step back and answer the question, why does the placenta do that stuff? Like what's in the placenta that's helping folks in that way?
Great question. Yeah. Yes. Perfect follow-up question. So the placenta, trying to sift through my brain and think of all of the different things that I've
so many things. The placenta is a treasure trove of things.
It really is. It really is. So that is, the placenta itself is the organ that your body grows to support and sustain your pregnancy until it's no longer needed. And so with that, there are 14 to 15 different trace minerals and elements that can be found in the placenta. So the limited studies that they have done on placentas, they were able to find some trace elements. So when we're thinking of trace elements, we're thinking of things like, goodness gracious, is it leaving me? It's leaving me.
I feel like there was levels of calcium and magnesium.
There's levels of calcium, magnesium. There are also milk producing hormones.
Yeah, prolactin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it is late. I am so sorry.
It's fine. No, you're fine.
Yeah.
I hit you with a follow-up question you weren't anticipating.
You're fine. So yeah, that actually reminds me. So not only trace minerals and elements, but also hormones. So prolactin, it's got some estrogen, some oxytocin. And so those are the ways that those are the reasons that, people would see an increase in milk production after they start taking their pills.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I sometimes talk to clients about is the unknown of the impact of the change in hormones and things once your pregnancy's over, right? And so I think from my clients' experience, at least, people who've had an experience without placenta ingestion in one pregnancy and with it in another have more data from themselves of the impact, right? And those are folks that tend to be like, oh my gosh, I see a huge difference. Where if you're in your first pregnancy and doing this, it's hard to compare it to anything because you don't have a situation where you didn't have it. You know what I mean?
That's a great point. And I've definitely seen that with, they weren't necessarily my repeat clients, but they came to me for their second or a subsequent pregnancy and had decided because of, their first time or second time that they wanted to encapsulate with this one. Now, I always give the caveat that yes, placental ingestion can, provide folks a lot of benefits. And I always want to be responsible in saying that do not hang your entire hat on placental ingestion or consumption. Continue to work with your doula, your providers, postpartum doulas, your care team, because when we're thinking about the healing journey, consumption can be a great supplement. It can really support you, and it's not the end all be all. So although it's really great and helps a lot of people and people see a lot of really wonderful benefits, don't, rest everything on this one piece because it really is just one piece of your healing journey.
Yeah. Okay. Another follow-up question that I've had people ask is how long should you take the placenta pills, or are they only effective? This is sort of a two-part, the same kind of question. Are they only effective if you finish them? So sometimes I've had people who forgot to take them for a few weeks or something. And then they're like, is it still good to take them now? I'm 1 month postpartum. Can I still take them? And so that kind of is where that question's coming from.
Also a really great follow-up question. So if you are in a situation where you've forgotten to take them or you decided to wait, there will still be a benefit. You can still see a benefit. Some encapsulators actually suggest to people that, save 10 to 15 pills so that you can take it, a month later, or for your, when your first period returns after baby, because you're also seeing hormone fluctuations during those points in time. And so another thing that placental pills are good for is like helping to kind of regulate the hormones that, are in flux. We see that immediately after birth. And of course, you're seeing that with your first period or your first menstruation. So it can be really beneficial around that point in time too. So yeah, if you didn't take them all, within the first few weeks of having baby, it is definitely okay to save them and take them at a different point in time, especially if you're noticing hormones are in flux.
That's so interesting. Now I'm like, so should we all take placenta pills while we have our cycle? Like, who has a placenta that they'd like for me to donate to the menstrual cycle of the non-placenta owners? So we're primarily talking about placenta encapsulation, in part because I find that that's the most common form of ingestion. But do you mind touching on other ways that people use their placentas, just kind of so people have a full spectrum of what kind of things they can do?
Yeah. So you can, there are different ways to ingest. So things like pills, I know people, make chocolates, gummies, smoothies. You can make an external salve. And so that's really good for, dry or cracked nipples, cradle cap, extremely dry skin, stuff like that. Another form of ingestion is through tincture. So the tincture process, and that really is for getting the longer term benefits of the placenta. So folks save that for, subsequent periods. And then some folks, their plan is to save it for menopause, because that's when we really see a lot of hormone fluctuation. So it could be good for that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then things like keepsakes. So, artistic prints, pictures, placenta art where it's dehydrated and formed or shaped. I've done a lot of umbilical cord keepsakes. So, I offer, or a lot of people offer, just the basic, formed and dehydrated umbilical cord keepsake. And then I'm starting to see a lot of people offer, jewelry and gold dipped, keepsakes and stuff like that. And then I've seen things like baby trees. So you plant your placenta, somewhere like a park or your backyard along with the tree. And, as the tree is growing, it's getting the nutrients from the placenta. So lots of different things that people can do with the placenta outside of consuming.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. So does the tincture have a longer half-life or a longer shelf life than the encapsulation, or is it just that it's like concentrated in a different way?
It does have a longer shelf life, and it's concentrated in a different way. So with the tincture process, it's, submerging a piece of placenta in alcohol, and allowing it to steep. Yeah.
Right. What is the time frame on that? So like if someone has a tincture, how long after birth is that prepared or ready?
6 to 7 weeks. 6 to 7 weeks.
I was gonna say it's probably a long time. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you said and then you were like, all the people who do placentas. I would actually like for you to share how people can work with you specifically if they're local to the DMV.
Got it. So you can find me online. I have a website. It's www.jadethedoula.com. I try to make it really simple for people.
Yeah, I'll make sure it's in the show notes.
Doula. Yes. Yeah. And then I'm also on Instagram. It's Jade_the_doula. And so those are the two quickest, easiest ways to connect with me via Instagram or through my website.
Yeah. And do you have any offerings that are like virtual, or that people who aren't local to the DMV could tap into, or is everything local right now?
The only thing that's not local is childbirth education. When that officially launches, I will have not only like in-person offerings, I'll also have hybrid, and I'll also have virtual.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then I've pulled back on like virtual doula services.
Yeah.
Because the landscape is shifting again. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure that your info's in the show notes so that when that class launches, people can dive into it with you.
Thank you.
I feel like your like content that you share on Instagram is also helpful, so people can connect over there.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So, any last thoughts on placentas before we hang up the hat for this week, this episode?
I would encourage folks to check it out. Connect with, local placenta encapsulation groups or find encapsulators. A lot of us do free consultations. Even if you're not sure, getting the information is part of the journey, and then you make a decision. The other thing I'll say is that some folks offer in-home services. So, they'll pick it up, they'll do it in your home, and then it's right there ready to go. Other folks like me, we'll pick it up, we'll do it in our own space, and then we deliver. And so we're trying to make things as easy and as seamless as possible. So all you have to do is get the placenta to us. We take care of everything else. So those are my last two things.
Yeah, no, that's a really good distinction because everyone's a little different in whether they do it in your home or in their own space. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And really, I mean, I can't emphasize enough how much I like when I have a client who's kind of like, I don't know, tell me more about it. I'm not sure what I think. I'm like, just talk to someone. Like, just, I mean, yes, obviously you're a fan of it because you do this, but also you're an expert in that. And so you can answer questions really thoroughly. And someone like Jade, I can say with full confidence, she's not going to like try to sell you on the idea. She's going to give you information, and that's like most of us, that's how we function, And
I always tell people like, I am a horrible capitalist because I really want you to make the decision that you feel most comfortable with. And if that means not doing that, then it's perfectly all right. That's why I got into this, this line of work, because I want folks to feel affirmed and assured in the choices that they're making. It's.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, I think that's like centered in all of your work, it's just like you have the information so that you can make a decision, Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
We are
so grateful that you took the time. And we will see everyone on the next episode.
These episodes are edited and produced by Kaylee Harrod, as I'm sure you can probably tell. And our amazing music is credited in the show notes as well. So we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And in the meantime, have wonderful and consent-filled birth.